Good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome you to the session. Today we have with us Miss Richa Dhar. She is a highly accomplished and international trainer and coach, has an extensive work experience of more than 13 years. She carries a wide range of experience in the field of leadership, behavioral, communication, personality development, and personal effectiveness training and coaching. She works with her clients all the way from needs assessment through design and delivery and evaluation. Her trainings are based on practical takeaways and providing the participants with a hands on experience in a safe environment. Executive coach with Grow More Avenues ICF Certified Institute, Master Trainer and Facilitator at CAMI US, Diploma in Training and Development from ISTD affiliated from IFTDO, Geneva, Certificate in Business Communication from Symbiosis Pune, MA and BA in English from Delhi University, and Certified Competitor Communicator Toastmasters International US. She has also delivered various workshops in Mauritius at organizations like Mauritius Housing Company, Mutual Aid Association, Institute for Judicial and Legal Studies, and Independent Commission Against Corruption. From a long list, she has worked with organizations like Samsung, Flour Daniels, Bosch, the Royal Bank of Scotland, etc. I would now like to welcome you officially, ma'am, and the floor is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheena, for such a wonderful introduction and so nicely presented. Thanks a lot. And thank you for the entire DSP team for giving me this platform to connect with students. So, welcome everyone to this session. And let me just first share my screen so that you can see what I'm going to be talking about today. Okay. So I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Thank you. Okay, great. So guys, welcome to this workshop on tips to handle most common PI questions for your final placement interviews. What I understand that some of you might be from first year, some of you might be from second year. So there is a mix of students out here, and for the background of this workshop is such that this is a very critical topic that we are talking about. And in my journey of 13 years, I have trained more than 7,000 students in management colleges and engineering colleges for their pre-placement. I have also worked very closely with organizations like where I was leading the projects of the when entire batch of employees is asked to leave in 2016-17 when that transformation was happening in Royal Bank of Scotland. And the idea of shifting your career mid career in the between, not because you want to change, just because there is a forceful scenario where you have to change your scenario, change your job, or look for an alternate career. So be it a mid-career shift, be it starting your career, like for most of you it is, the most important aspect of that journey is a personal interview. And a personal interview is an opportunity for you to claim your stake for the kind of for your dream job, for proving your mettle to the company and actually being somebody they want to employ. So that is the entire crux of what a personal interview is all about. And today we will talk about certain key questions, the structure of an interview. And this is going to be an extremely interactive workshop and session. And your questions are welcome towards the end. I've also kept a certain amount of time for your questions, but you're most welcome to also share your questions in the chat. And when you're sharing your questions in the chat, whenever I'm able to towards the end, I will be addressing those questions as well. And Sheena, can I request you to just take note of any questions if somebody gives them during the mid-session?
Sure, ma'am. I'll be.
Thank you. And towards the end, you can just inform me the questions, and I like to answer as
Sure,
many
I'll
as I
keep.
can.
I'll check, ma'am. Thank you.
Great, wonderful. So, guys, we're gonna just quickly do a small activity right now, but But before that, I need a quick thumbs up from everybody that we're going to play right. So you can just click on the hand raise button against the thumbs up or hand raise button against your name in your participant list. And the moment I see that, for majority of the people, we will be starting with this. It's a very small 2-minute activity. For me to know that everyone is present here, I do understand a couple of students are sitting in a classroom as well. That's understandable. Brilliant. So we're getting a lot of hand raises out here. So we're going to do a small activity here, and I'm going to put a link in the chat. And just a quick query, Sheena here. I'm not able to see the chat. Can you help me find that here?
Sure, ma'am. I'll just check. I'll just check.
Yeah, because I'm not able to see the chat here. Okay, so while Sheena will help me out with that, let's just let's just start with this very small activity. So guys, all of you see this on your screen, and the question that you have to answer is, how many squares do you see on the screen? And you've got 2 minutes to go, and I'm going to be putting, you can count your squares out here, and I'll put and I will be switching on a link on my screen, and you will be able to see a link of menti.com, and I'll request you all to just log into that. So the question is, how many squares do you see on the screen? In around 2 minutes time, I will be switching on a link to go to menti.com and type a particular code, which I will be giving you. That ready with you. And what I need you all to do now is go to menti.com. You can see that on my screen right now. Go to the website on menti.com. And type this particular code. The moment you will type this code, please dot this particular code. It will open form. It will ask you to write the squares that you see on your screen. Access this particular exercise. Quickly type. Count the number of squares. You got 1 minute left. Is over. You got 1 minute left. Go to menti.com. Type on your phone, on your mobile, on your laptop, anywhere. Just type menti.com and type this particular code. And the moment you will do that, it will open a particular form for you, and you have to just type in the number of squares that you see. And the moment you are able to do that, I will be able to see, and I'll be sharing my screen. Wonderful. So I'm starting to get the answers here. Quite a few of them. Okay, great, great. So this is accessible to whether you're sitting in a classroom or whether you are sitting, at your home. Both the places you can access this particular website. Brilliant, great. So I'm going to be closing this particular thing. So I'm getting a lot of answers here. Let me now share what I'm seeing on my screen. All of you should be able to see this screen here. You can see a lot of numbers here, everything ranging from 31 to 40, 42, 50 also is an answer that we are getting here. Everyone has like counted all 23 to 50. We've got all the range here. I think some, and you could enter multiple options. So if you count once and then you count the second time, you realize, no, I've counted more, I've counted less. You can correct your answer. You can type again. Great. So you got 42, 40, 35, 31, 40. Are you sure anyone else who wants to correct their answer or add something there? Great. So we're going to be now going back to our screen, and now let me ask you all a very simple question. And the question is, why does everyone have a different answer? Can anyone unmute and answer? Anyone can unmute and answer.
Yes.
Why did everyone have a different answer?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Ma'am, I think everybody has a different answer because everybody has a different perception and they see differently.
Okay, but this is a factual problem, right? It's
Yes, ma'am.
not a, it's a factual problem. The data is right in front of you and you have to just represent the data. Then what's the challenge when it's right in front of you?
Well, some of us are might be repeat counting it. Some of
Yes,
us might be counting it less. And
some of
as far as I know, there is some trick. Like for 4 cross 4, there is 25 plus 1. There is some kind of trick. I know about that, but I don't remember it now.
Okay, so
Excuse me,
let
ma'am.
me, yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah, ma'am. Actually, it may be differ on the basis of how many of us have seen these such questions before.
Okay,
So if we
experience.
are used to such questions, then we can see it differently. But if we are looking at it for the first time, then we might see less squares.
A very interesting answer. In fact, a very valid point we'll talk about. Anybody else who likes to add, who will like to add their view here? Wonderful. So very interesting answer. So let me just first, before we go ahead and talk about what all it is about, so let me just first share the correct number of answers. So if anyone wants to share their view, they can. So the correct number of answers is number of squares out here is 40. And there is a reason why we did this exercise in this particular session. So here it is for everyone to see, and there is no trick. There is actually no trick of counting or multiplying or something. It is very simply the 40 squares which are there. All you have to do is make sure that you count them again, you don't miss anything. So all in all, there are 40 squares in there. Now the question here is, does what happened to this us in this exercise happen in the real life as well? Does this happen to us in the real life as well? And especially when you are sitting in an interview room. Now your PI is actually your experience of PI, when you're sitting in a PI, you're applying through a job, you're going through a very similar process of counting the number of squares, and the squares you're counting are that of your personality, the knowledge, the right knowledge that you need to showcase. You need to showcase the successes, the learning, the growth, everything. Nothing should miss. If you have 40 squares in your personality, all the relevant 20, 30, or maybe 40 to that particular job profile should be visible to the people out there. And this image basically is a representative of personality. And people taking the interview would have a simple question in their mind: how many facets of personality do you have? What all do you bring to the table? They are waiting to count the particular squares that you are going to bring and showcase to them. And you have to prepare and review and help them see as many relevant experiences or aspects of your experience, of your knowledge, of your personality as possible in that 20, 30, 40, 50-minute period. Your interview can range anything between like the big four, whenever they do their interviews, those interviews at times do stretch to 40, 45 minutes, or maybe somewhere around 60 minutes as well. But usually an interview doesn't go beyond that, unless and until there's a case study based discussion which is happening, which sometimes may happen in finance interviews. Usually an interview will be anything between 20 minutes to 45 minutes. And in that duration, you need to give them a complete picture of who you are with respect to that particular job profile. And in today's training, I'm going to give you tips on how you can highlight these best aspects of your personality in those 20 to 40 minutes. And we're going to do that by covering three specific areas: typical interview structure. How does your interview progress? It's not random. It may differ, it varies. There is no structure written in stone, but more or less every organization follows a little pattern. Every person who's interviewing follows a little pattern, which I'll share with you. In 13 years of experience, both while preparing students, while being on the panel, both the sides, I've seen that this is more or less the structure every organization follows. And 5 key questions and tips to prepare for them. And I will also provide you with an assertion evidence model that I'll share with you how to design your answers, so that whether we discuss that question in this session or not, you are able to design answers for any questions that you are preparing for or that you're concerned about, right? So this is what we're going to be covering in next, let's say, around 50 minutes that we have together. So just a couple of housekeeping rules here. This is a new and different platform on which we are working. So I will request all of you, as many as possible, keep your cameras open. and that kind of makes it a classroom feel. It's fair enough. You can see me, you can hear me. I should be able to see you. So Monira, thank you for keeping your camera open. As of now, I can see only her and Tarun as well. So I'll request others as well. If your bandwidth allows, please do keep your camera open. That does give a feel of solidarity of being there with each other. Keep your audios muted like all of you have already done, and unmute yourself whenever you want to speak, just we did in the exercise like this before. I will invite you to open your mics. And chat, unfortunately, I'm not able to access, but if there are any questions, you can just keep them noted with you, or maybe if you can share with Sheena, or you can just keep them noted with you. And towards the end, I will ask you to unmute yourself and ask your questions. And feel free. Yeah, go ahead, Sheena. You want to say
Sorry for
something?
the technical glitch, ma'am. It was, I guess, disabled when scheduling. So really sorry for that. I can
No problem.
request everybody to please share your questions with me. You all have my number, so we can go ahead with that.
Yeah, so that will just help us consolidate the questions in advance. And otherwise, also after I've addressed the questions that Sheena will put forward, if we have time, you can put forward your questions as well. And all questions are welcome, right? So this is how we're going to be progressing through this session. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'll not be able to put a link in the chat, but I will again share with you the same, link that we had. And I'm going to ask you to write 4 answers here. Just give me a second. Just give me a minute. The same login details that I had shared with you before. Use the same login details that I had shared with you before. Go to menti.com, type this code, and when you type this code, it will open a form for you, and that form will ask you a very simple question. What are the top 4 skills according to you, which the corporates are looking for in your, in the prospective employees. When corporates are coming there to hire you, what are the core skills that they are looking for? According to you, what are the top 4 skills they are looking for? You can type them. You can, once you submit, you can retype again. So you've got 2 minutes to submit your answers. And let me share my screen so that you can also see all the responses, which I'll be able to see. I hope you all can see my screen, which says, according to you, what top 4 skills do employers look for? So once you start typing and submitting your responses, they will start appearing on my screen, and all of us will be able to see them together. So I'm sure you would have done a lot of research. You would have studied. Your faculty would have given you a lot of understanding of what the corporates are looking forward to. And in the last 2 years, you would have had enough corporate exposure to understand through talks and presentations and through your internship. Wonderful. So we're getting team player, communication, confidence, good presentation skills, leadership. Leadership is in fact one of the very core skills they are looking for. And the 5 questions that we will answer, the focus will be to highlight these skills. And how do you bring the discussion? So the focus will be, how do you bring the interview in your control? And you can actually control the direction and the list of questions to approximately around 65 to 70% if you start the right way. So analytical skills, problem solving skills, emotional intelligence, yes, absolutely. Being proactive, technical skills, absolutely. Technical skills for an MBA student are a no-brainer. Now, the difference is that they work from an assumption that when you're coming from a college like DSP, you have them at a certain level. Right? So technical skills will be a part of an interview, but unless and until you fare really bad in them, they will not be the reason for you not getting selected. Mostly it is the behavioral questions where the challenge comes in. So we're talking about hardworking. So hardworking, possibly this is the news, is not an expected skill. It is an understood thing that everyone who has reached this level is hardworking. Right? So if you go into an interview room and say that my strength is that I'm hardworking, you're not making yourself stand out from the crowd, because everyone sitting outside is hardworking. That's what has brought you to the point where you are, right? So we're talking about agility. Yes, good thinking, good presentation skills, leadership, teamwork. Brilliant. Quite a few answers here. And now what we're going to do is, so these are, whether it's team player, communication, leadership, problem solving skills, people skills, emotional intelligence, these are precisely the skills that they're looking for: adaptability, flexibility, and problem solving skills. These are the core skills that the corporates are looking for. When I say corporates, I am talking about the employers are looking for in their respective employees. That will be you guys. So 93, according to multiple surveys, I collected this data from multiple surveys, approximately 93% of employers look for critical thinking, clear communication, ability to solve complex problems, and 95% emphasize on innovation, irrespective of the job profile you're applying for. And innovation here doesn't mean creating a new software. They're talking about how are you handling the current situation, and how are you, for example, in the last 1 year, what have you done in last 1 year, especially because of the lockdown and studying from home and working from home, that has made you stand apart, or that has helped you build your skills for the particular job or the career that you want to go for? A very, very simple question, but it can be a make and break deal when it comes to these interviews. So here are what employers are looking for. They're looking for somebody who's a team player. They're looking for realistic goals. So where do you see yourself 5 years down the line? I want to see myself CEO of a company. Now, that's not a realistic goal. If that was possible, the guy sitting across to you would have been a CXO or CEO. So we don't go ahead talking about dreams. We talk about goals. So you're going to address that question as well. Positive attitude. And a very simple way of reflecting positive attitude is by not cribbing about lockdown, by not blaming the economy, by not blaming your parents for your graduation choices. Very simple things. Why are you an engineer? Sir, I did not know at that point in time. Mummy, Papa said, you can't blame your parents at the age of 22, 23, right? You have to take the responsibility of the choices you have made, because the person sitting across the table is thinking, okay, today he's blaming the parents. Tomorrow he will blame me. So I don't want somebody who's playing a victim card. I want somebody who has the confidence to handle the situation and move forward. And then we're talking about leadership qualities, of course, and open to learn and grow. So when you are a fresher, or maybe even if you have a work experience, but you have taken a break to complete your MBA, and now you're going back to the business, you have a totally different worldview. You have a holistic picture of how business runs. So they are actually looking forward to somebody who's willing to walk in not as a potential management trainee, but a potential learner. Somebody who's open to do every kind of job, and who's not simply looking for an AC office, but somebody who wants to get into the trenches, get their hands dirty, and learn from the ground level. Right? So that is kind of quality that employers are looking for. And understanding this is important, because if you understand these skills, it will be easier for you to follow the interview format. Right? So like I said, the one thing, very important thing, you need to understand what is the format in which the questions are being asked to you. And that 20 to 40 minutes, irrespective of the profile you're applying to, will follow a similar kind of a pattern. The things may go up and down, but very similar pattern. All your interviews will start with a little chit chat. And that is what we call icebreaker. So how are you? How was the wait outside? Okay, so, okay, where are you from? I was looking at it. For example, I am from Jammu and Kashmir. So if I enter the room, I was looking you are from Jammu and Kashmir. So that's a beautiful place. And, so I know this is something about my profile that people will chit chat about. And the goal of icebreaker is to relax you so that you're not nervous. It's understood you will be nervous. But don't play. It's very important, because, the couple of small questions about you, about what's happening, okay, which you mentioned, why it's a nice social awareness question, right? You can't say, sir, I have not, and I have seen interviews where people have said, reading is a hobby, or, I like to be updated about things, but then, no, I have not read newspaper yesterday. Okay, what was the day before? And this is a real life interview question. Okay, what was the headline day before yesterday? No, sir, I was traveling day before yesterday, so I've not seen that newspaper as well. Okay, what was the headline for the last 1 week? Sorry, I don't remember this. So you can't really do this in an icebreaker. That's kind of a deal breaker right in the beginning. So an icebreaker, be ready, look at your profile, see what are the common chit chat questions that can be asked. Be aware of small things like weather, how is the weather around, be aware of small things like what is happening, generally in the news, so that people can just chat. A very simple question can be, oh, the vaccines are there, so what do you has your family gone in for that, how are you dealing with it, what is your take on it? These are very generic questions, and the idea is to just relax you. But while you're being relaxed, they're also at the back of the mind evaluating you and knowing the candidate. That's where the question, the clincher, tell me something about yourself. And that is a question you're going to answer for the rest of your life, right? Whether you go on your date, whether you go on your interview, whether you go for shadi.com meeting, whatever, that is one question you're going to answer for the rest of your life to everybody. Even when you're sitting in a metro and you make a new friend, the person is going to ask you, okay, tell me something about yourself. So you better be prepared for it, and better know the difference in what is tell me about yourself when you're sitting in a metro with the person you just gotten to know, and when just gotten to know, or when you're sitting in an interview room. So we're going to address this question. It's a very critical question. And if you design this answer well, because it is like, I know my first question in the question paper will be this. So why not prepare an answer thoroughly? And if you design this well, you will be able to control approximately 60 to 70% of your interview. So you can put the right hints in your introduction. The third stage is convince me. Yeah, please go ahead. Any question here? So guys, third stage is convince me. So this is going to be a little download that I'm going to give you, and then we will get back to the interaction mode. So the third stage is convince me. This is where they're going to ask you questions related to your summer internship. They're going to ask you questions related to your work experience, if you have any. The questions which are technical in nature. The questions which will be around your choice of specialization. The question which will be, okay, from engineering, why finance? Right? So why did you leave engineering to do marketing? So these kind of questions. Or for example, you seem to be, if you have written that you're really good in music, so why not you pursue that? Though that is a very rare question that comes up unless and until you've highlighted it too much. This is where they will check your subject knowledge, any certifications you have mentioned, they will cross-check those knowledge. So this is the stage where the major crux of your interview happens. But the direction it will go in will be decided by when you highlight, tell me about yourself, what you highlight in that. And then comes the last and the clincher of the interview, candidate questions. Do you have any questions for us? Unfortunately, in my experience in 13 years that I've seen, a lot of people pass this opportunity. But if you don't ask a question, it means you have not studied well enough about the company, about the job profile. And here I would like to share with you a real life experience of one of my students. And she was a fresher MBA finance student from a BCom background, applying for a big financial firm. The entire interview went well. She was a very, very smart kid, agreed. But what really got her the interview job was that last question, because I did speak with the HR later, and she did say that was the deal clincher for us. And towards the end, the lady in the interview room, and some people from the technical background, some HR guys were sitting there. It was a panel interview, and they just asked her one question. So, do you have any questions for us? And she asked a very simple question. She said that I went through your website, and in your website, they give this financial details of every company in the website for the last couple of years. And she said that what I've seen is the last year there is a certain percentage of loss that is shown in your website. So I wanted to understand what has happened in the last 2 years that last year the company went into losses. And that lady was like, no, we were not in loss. And right there in the middle of the interview, what she told me, my student, like they opened the laptop, she opened her laptop, she went to the website and she checked, and my student, her name was Monica, she was correct. There was a typing error. There was a minus sign which was typed by mistake. And this was something, the extent, while it was, a chance that she had noted something where there was an error, they were able to identify it. But what is important to know is the detail in which she had studied about the company, and to be ready with that question in advance. Right? So, yeah.
Ma'am,
Sorry.
isn't this question kind of, to be fair, offensive to the company hirer? Like, what happened? Why aren't you performing well? Like, it's that kind of a question, in my
Depends
opinion.
on your tone. It depends whether you're asking from curiosity or whether you're asking from, exactly the tone in which you just demonstrated to us. Why are you not performing well? So that tone makes a lot of difference. You can ask any question. Another example that I'll give you, which in usual we feel will be looked as offensive, but actually got somebody an admission into an IIM Bangalore college. And that guy was and this was shared by a panelist from IIM Bangalore interview. He said that we had this guy who walked in, and he was more of like, we were like, okay, let's see other people, and then we will see whether we take him or somebody else. He's like, neither we're going to chuck him out nor we're going to finalize him. So just before he was leaving, we just asked him any questions. And he asked a very simple question that, I've read somewhere that IIMs are trying to balance out the gender balance, with more, they're trying to get more number of girls and females into the campus. But while I was waiting outside, about 100, students are waiting. And I'm sure today is just one day. I saw 80 to 90% of them were men. So I just wanted to understand that what I read and what I see outside, there's a difference. So what is the policy? Is something being done with regards to that? Uh, and the people and the person who was sharing this anecdote said that it was not an offensive question. In fact, then I asked him, do you know the ratio? And he wasn't aware of the ratio, men-women ratio, boy-girl ratio in the IIMs. He said, I'm sorry, I'm not aware of the ratio. But then they asked him another question. What do you think should be done to bring the balance? And this guy had ideas which he shared, you can do this, and a couple of things which he shared in the interview can be done. So when you ask a question, you should have thought about that question. It shouldn't be a random question. And this is the question that he was, and this is what the interviewer said. When the boy went out, we all said we want him in. He has the ability to think and the courage to ask. So it is not about, don't think that a question will be offensive. A question should come from the sense of curiosity. And your tone matters a lot. The body language in which you ask matters a lot. Right? So think about the question. You can, please go ahead. Any other question here? Because this is a very important point.
Okay, ma'am, I understand the tone part, but even like, for example, I think again, it matters in the tone again, like relatives asking how you did not do well, and like a somewhat of a like consistent, like doing average, okay, and the relative asks, why didn't it happen?
Suja, there's a difference in when, sorry to interrupt you, when a relative asks you and when you're sitting in an interview panel.
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, the environment is different. People in the corporates don't asking you questions for last 40 minutes, and now they are giving you an opportunity to ask if you are curious about something. And you have a right to ask. While I'm saying you have a right to ask, there are certain questions which can be a deal breaker. What will be the package? Can you give me the breakup of the package? How many vacation will I get? Right? Or when will I be due for the first promotion? Or how many, these are certain questions which are offensive. They're offensive because not of what you're asking them, but because of what is your core area of interest. When you ask about somebody that I saw the website and there was some, this is something I'm curious to know, this means you are interested in the business. You're not a relative, you are a claimant for a job, you are a guy who's going to be going and applying for that job. You have a right to know what is the company doing right, what is the company doing wrong. You're going to put your career at stake with that organization, right? They have a right to ask you all the questions to validate whether you are the right candidate or not. You have the right to ask and validate whether this is the right organization or not. But the question should come with a lot of understanding and homework being done. And again, your tonality will matter a lot. And again, don't get into an argument if the person says, oh, no, this is not, in IIMs, we don't have that problem at all. It is just a matter of chance today, 150 boys are there. Out of 150, 120 are boys, right? End the discussion here. Don't get into further argument with their, fine, sir, I just shared what I observed. End of the discussion. You have to also be able evaluate your interviewer. And let me just share one thing with you all, guys, and please go with that mindset in your interviews. An interview is not a debate competition where you will mug up your script and you will go and just vomit it all out. An interview is a conversation. And in a conversation, you evaluate how is the other person's mood. Is he taking my answer? Should I change my answer? What is the next question? What do I want to know from them? Right? So it is a conversation. So take it as a conversation, not as a performance review. Right? So they're not going. So every interviewer knows that in 30 minutes, they cannot evaluate you as a person. They are just evaluating your skills for that job profile. So please don't take interviews as a statement you have a question, please go ahead. Sushant, you've raised your hand. Do you have a
Yes,
question?
ma'am. I have a question. So,
Yeah.
ma'am, as you said that interviews are like a conversation where we need
Yes.
to evaluate what the other person, whether that person is receiving our answers in a good light or not, and
Yep.
then we need to draft our answers accordingly. But what
Yes.
I've seen is sometimes interviews sit with a very peculiar kind of facial expressions. They do not show whether they're liking our answers or not. So how can we actually know whether we are evaluating them correctly? Any tips?
Yes, you have to listen carefully. You have to listen very carefully to what they're saying and what is the next question that is coming out of their mouth. And every interviewer will have their own personality. And please do understand that your interviewers are not your faculty. They are not there to morally boost your morale and, oh, yes, yes, you're doing very good. They're not going to do that. They have taken their man hours from their office and they are sitting here and talking to you. So they really are looking for somebody to be shortlisted for that job profile. So it's a very serious business for them. So a very simple thing that you can do is listen effectively. Unfortunately, a lot of students don't listen to the questions. What somebody will not show in the body language, it will show in the tone and the next question that they can ask you. Those stress interviews don't really happen that much, but sometimes it may happen that while you're in the middle of answering a question, somebody else interrupts, and then you're about to answer that question, then somebody else interrupts, and they just don't let you finish anything, or they just try to put you in a corner. They're checking your confidence. Unless and until you're giving wrong answers, and they're really, really irritated by that. But that they usually won't do that unless and until you are applying for a job which requires somebody who can handle high level of stress. So in that case, if you're in the middle of an answer and somebody interrupts, you have a right to ask, absolutely, sir, I will come back to your question. But let me please, but I'll just finish this. Let me just finish this answer and then I'll come back to your question. And then come back to his question. Right? But if they say, no, no, you don't need to finish this answer, you need to answer this, then move on to the next one. At the end of the day, you are there to answer their queries. Right? So this is how it can be, addressed particularly. So you have to listen very carefully, you have to observe very carefully. And usually it's a panel interview. Usually there are minimum 2 people sitting. So you can look at the body language of both the people when you're there. So this is the format of the interview. And once you know the format, the kind of questions that will come to you one by one, when at which. So you can actually recalibrate your brain. Okay, now these kind of questions are going to come. Now this is what I'm going to do. These 2 questions came. The most important thing to crack your interview is your attitude. And the reason for that is because an interview is an evaluation and an assessment. A lot of people I've seen a lot of people describe interview as a rejection or a selection process. It is not a rejection or a selection process. It is an evaluation and an assessment process. They have a set criteria and skills, and then they are trying to evaluate and assess whether you fit in them. If you fit, you get in. If you don't fit, then they will pick somebody else. And that's why you'll see sometimes companies come and they will not pick anyone. It's not that they don't have vacancies. It's just that in their assessment, they couldn't find anyone who was an exact match. And sometimes companies will come only for one position, but will end up hiring 3 or 4 people. Because they suddenly realized, okay, you know what, we have these people, we had a vacancy for Jaipur, we weren't planning, but this guy is from Jaipur and he's really good and I want to pick him up. right? So these things do happen. But very rarely. Sometimes you sit for an interview for one profile, and in the middle of the conversation, something else comes up, and they may end up offering you something else where they may feel you're more relevant. Now that's your call. So these are the kind of situations you have to be mentally. So if you need time to think, you have a right to ask for time to think, right? But it shouldn't happen that you applied for a finance job. The guy says you're really good for sales, and you immediately jump, sir, fine, sir, let's leave finance, give me sales. Don't do that, because then it will be like you were just there randomly. You did not know what you wanted, right? So there has to be some connect in what you accept and what you came for. So this is something which is extremely critical. So now I'm going to move on to the 5 key questions. But before I do that, I'm going to open the platform for any questions that you have. So I'll open the platform for about 2 minutes. Anyone who has a question, please unmute and ask.
What did you mean by attitude here? Like what kind of attitude are we talking about here?
We're talking about positive attitude. We're talking about an attitude where, let's say, if somebody says, why an MBA in marketing after engineering? Sir, what do I tell you? I tried to do this, but I did not know. My father said, do engineering. Then the campus, the economy wasn't good. The campus couldn't give us the placement. And, something like this. And attitude.
So something like this should not be there.
No,
So according to you, what should be there then? Like at least we should get some kind of framework.
Sure, that's what I'll give you. I'll give you a framework, and the framework is called assertion evidence model. The first thing about attitude is that you take the responsibility for your entire history. Whether you have a gap year, whether you've changed your stream, whether you have changed your career, whether you did a course you didn't like, you have to take the responsibility of everything. You cannot blame anyone. Even if you left your last job, let's say because it was excessively demanding, and maybe the boss wasn't good, or there was some other, culture was very negative. We don't talk about that. We simply talk about the fact that I wanted to do MBA. It was a simple example would be I wanted to do MBA, but I couldn't balance my studies and my job. So it was a difficult call, but I decided to leave my job, take the risk, study for MBA. I was pretty sure I will put my hard work and I'll get through it. And here I am. So I believe that, you have to take some risks to gain in the future. So this is an attitude where you're not blaming your previous organization, but you're actually focusing on where you want to go. So focus on the future. That's the positive attitude. And the framework in which you can answer that I will give you in another 10 minutes. Any other question?
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah, good afternoon.
Ma'am, actually, in interviews, there are many situations where we are pushed to give answers, even we say that we don't know the answer. So, how to tackle that? Like,
give me a situation.
ma'am, like it happened with me. Like, I was told to tell the recent news. So, I knew that Sensex has gone up above 50,000 mark. So, I
Right.
told the news, but not being from finance background, I don't keep a regular check on it. So I was asked that, can you please tell me more about today's price and yesterday's price? So I said that I don't know, but they kept on
Yes.
trying that you can tell me the answer, you can take a guess. So should we answer that or what should we do?
Well, if they don't leave your choice, then take a guess. You've already told them that you don't know the answer. But there is a learning in this, and I hope you have taken that. When somebody asks you for a headline, that please understand every question has a purpose. If you're giving a headline which is of a department or a stream in which you have limited knowledge, you're going to get stuck into a trap like that. So be very careful. And headlines is a very, very common question. It's more common than you think. So just for the last 1 week, 10 days, keep reading the newspaper, and not just the headline, but the entire article. Pick up a couple of news items which you can talk about, especially about the industry and business you are interested in or you're applying for. So if you give them a topic which, if you only introduce the topic of market, they'll trust you. So sometimes they also think, another thing that happens, sometimes an over-friendly interviewer may think this guy is getting nervous. So let me just give him a moral boost, and that kind of backfires. So be very careful what you are sharing from your end. Manira, you have a question.
Yes, ma'am. Firstly, I would like to say that I'm enjoying the session throughout. And secondly, my question is
Thank
related
you.
to there are times when a question arises like, what is your strength and weaknesses? So I have seen that I've seen several I've seen on websites and on interview portals and things like that, wherein they say that you need to honestly say your weaknesses. But there are times when they say that tell your weaknesses like strength in disguise. So like how should we go about it?
I will answer that. One of the questions is that only of the 5 questions. I'll answer that question and I'll also tell you how to prepare for that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Great. So that's, in fact, that's a very, very valid question. I know a lot of people get stuck there, not just for freshers like you, even experienced people get stuck in that question. So we're going to address that. So the 5 key questions which I'm going to be working with you today are: tell me about yourself, why should we hire you, and we're talking about where do you sit HR and ops. And the format for everyone is same. Assertion evidence model is what we call. And what assertion evidence model basically means is that you start your answer by claiming something. Tell me something about yourself. Well, I am a team player and I have good leadership skills. So you've claimed something, you've asserted something, given a hypothesis. And then you're going to share anecdotes, stories, examples of the evidence proving that you're right. Right? So for example, if I say that, my assertion is that I'm an experienced trainer, that immediately the next statement should not be anything else, but I have been working for 13 years. I've trained in India and abroad. The kind of range of people I've trained are from executives to country heads. Everything I'm giving an example. So it's assertion, you claim something, and evidence. So evidence where you are going to prove that claim that you have just made. So this is the model in which all your answers should be. This answers the previous question as well. When someone asked me just now that, how should we structure our answers? All your answers should be structured in this format. So how do you get the evidence? You cannot get the evidence when you're sitting in an interview room, totally stressed out, wondering what does this guy think. You have to create your evidence before you enter the interview room. And this is called SWOT analysis. I believe all of you would have studied it. It's one of the first things you learn in MBA. And all of you need to do your personal SWOT. If you have not done it so far, do it immediately. And everyone joining the MBA should do a SWOT on day 1, after 6 months, and then before and after your summer internship. And this SWOT will give you answers for your strengths very obviously, along with the proofs, and also for the weaknesses. Now, weaknesses is a very interesting question. It becomes a trap because we start listing our weaknesses. You don't need to list your weakness. You just state, assert. This is an area of improvement. They may use the word weakness. You mention the word area of improvement. And the next thing that you do is you don't just simply mention, okay, my public speaking skills are not very good. My area of improvement is public speaking skills. That's not where your answer ends. My area of improvement is public speaking skills. And for the last 2 years, ever since I joined MBA, I've been continuously working on it. I've been giving presentations in my class. I have been participating in, inter-college presentations. In my summer internships also, I tried to take responsibilities and, attach myself with my senior wherever I could go and meet the clients to give myself that opportunity to have that experience and overcome that fear. So what you've done is you've claimed something which is actually a challenge, and then you have listed what you have done to overcome the challenge. So don't be dishonest. Please don't say my weakness is chocolate. Please don't say that I can't tolerate people who don't finish their work on time. That's my weakness. A lot of places in Google will say that because it will show you are such punctual. But unfortunately, if I am hiring, I will not take somebody who says that, because this person will be a very bad team player. If somebody else gets late in the work, this guy is going to create a havoc. I don't want this guy in my team. Right? So don't do that. And interviewers are experienced people. Don't fool them by, covering your strength as a weakness. Don't do that. Somebody says my family is my weakness. Never do that. Because if your family is your weakness, this means you will not want to travel. You will not be open to relocation, right? And lot of other hassles. So be very honest. And I'll give you another real life example of a student whom I trained. And he came from a small town in Haryana, and he was doing his MBA from Delhi. And when he came out of the interview room, I heard him speaking to a couple of other students, and he was sharing that, they asked me my weakness. And I told them that English speaking is my challenge. And that was actually his challenge, because when he joined, he could hardly, put sentences together. In 2 years, he was now able to have some conversation, properly, without breaking it. And the logic he gave was so sensible. He's like, this is a weakness which is already in front of them when I'm talking to them. This is something they are already seeing. And when I spoke to him, he said, ma'am, this is something that they're already seeing. Now, if I list another new weakness, this means I have two weaknesses. So I might as well tell them what they can already see, right? So, and along with that, he then mentioned that in the last 2 years, ever since I've joined here, I've joined the British Council course, I've done an online course, I study grammar, I'm trying to do public speaking practice. So he mentioned what all he has been doing, and they could see the difference that this guy coming from a small town and from a non-English background education, and now able to have an entire 40-minute interview in English, may not be absolutely grammatically correct, but so these are the kind of things you have to keep in mind. And that's where your weakness section and your threat section will come in handy. So once you have you will have your list of weaknesses. Just a couple of warnings. Don't list the weaknesses which are in challenge with the job profile. So you can't say public speaking is a weakness if you're applying for sales. You can't say I can't multitask if you're applying for finance. Right? You can't, so you have to understand, you can't say that I get stressed too easily if you're applying for operations or finance. Right? So, or I'm emotional. That's the worst thing you can do to yourself. Okay, first of all, everyone is emotional. We are not robots. So being emotional is normal. It's not a weakness. But when I say I'm emotional, this means I'm not able to handle my anger. I get demotivated very easily, and I will not be open to critical assessment or a critical feedback. Right? So these are a couple of things which are very common. Don't do that. And just be very honest, pick up one or two things, use the word area of improvement, but every time you mention it, list down the things that you have done to work on it. I hope that answers your question, Munira. Great. So this is what I will recommend all of you to do. And this is the basically list of questions that you should be working on. And what I'll recommend is before every job interview, keep your SWOT analysis next to the job profile and tweak your resume. Never use the same standard resume for every job. Keep on tweaking your resume to make sure that your SWOT, your strengths from the SWOT and your evidences will be the reason why do you think you're a good team leader. You would have done something. You would have organized an event, you would have headed a department, you would have, even if you have organized just an annual day in your college, shows leadership, right? So these are the kind of things that you can work on from here. So tell me about yourself can come in multiple forms. Describe yourself, describe your CV with reasons. Tell me something about yourself which is not on your CV, right? Answer to all these questions. The purpose is it's an icebreaker, want to know about you, your strengths, and they're trying to find more material to ask you questions. Now, this is the catch. And a lot of times people come out of the interview room and say, I don't know how he knew. Why was he asking me all these questions? Let's say about Jamshedpur. He was asking about the population of Jamshedpur, and he was asking, it's like, there's nothing to do about it. And when you ask them, okay, it's like, I don't know where Jamshedpur came from. And then when you ask him, what did you say in your introduction? I did my schooling from Jamshedpur. I did my college from Jamshedpur. My family lives there, and I have spent most of my childhood there. If you're going to repeat Jamshedpur 5 times, the guy is going to ask you questions about that place. Right? So be very careful in what you say. So here are some do's for your introduction. The biggest question, should I say my name? Should I not say my name? Doesn't matter. A lot of people ask me, they have already called me with my name. Should I now start by saying I am Richa Dhar, or should I just start that I belong to? It's like, it doesn't matter. They know your name, right? But if you decide to say your name, don't use myself. That's improper English. Say I am or my name, and say complete name. Don't say I'm Richa, say I'm Richa Dhar, or my name is Richa Dhar. A quick reference to where you belong to. Just a quick reference. No need of going into family history. We are 3 brothers, and I've seen people in an interview wasting precious time on the family background. If they're interested in your family background, they will ask you. I'll rather say I'm Richa Dhar, or my name is Richa Dhar. I belong to Jammu and Kashmir, and I've lived in Delhi all my life. My entire education is from there. And next, immediately get down to your summer internship. Don't go in the chronological order of I did my 12th from here, I did my 10th from here, I did my graduation. That's history. What do you want them to ask questions from? That's the first information you share. See, people will remember the first, your introduction will not be more than 2 to 3 minutes. And they will remember the first 1 minute, 30 seconds to 1 minute, the max. So that's where you have to give them the most important information. So your SIP, your title, organization, details about the work that you've done, and your key achievements. Identify 3 to 5 key achievements which you will list in your introduction. Your introduction is not going to be your CV read. It is going to be a totally different thing. So you will talk about your name if you want to, place you belong to, immediately come to, I've done my summer internship from, let's say, Philips. And in Philips, I was in the sales internship where we went on the ground. We went from store to store. We did studied market mix. We did this. We did the 4 Ps of marketing, whatever it is that you did in your internship. Make a list of your internship. Make around 4 to 5 sentences of the core learnings of your internship, of what you did and what you learned. 4 to 5 sentences of your internship, handy with you all the time. You should just learn it at the back of your hand, right? And that's what it talks about. You talk about your key achievements, and your key achievements should highlight your strengths, not random key achievements that I came first in the Sanskrit exam in class 8. That's maybe an achievement in the school, but it doesn't matter anymore. You need to talk about achievements which are recent, maybe graduation, preferably MBA, internship, or maybe in internship, okay, anyone, all those here who felt, I mean, your internship was very different than usually what it is, because you all probably did it from in a work from home mode. But usually people who crib a lot about or complain a lot, my internship was so bad, they made me do so much of work, I was out in the sun all day long. They have the most material to talk about their internship in the interview. So anybody who feels that he was, physically, mentally, emotionally harassed in your internship, make a list of all the things that they made you do. These are the things you're going to claim as you were able to do multiple tasks. You were a team player. You were confident. You got extra responsibilities. You were so diligent. You were so methodical that you could handle sales. You could do online survey. You could create a report. You could do so many things. This is the time to take the benefit of the hard work that you put in. And share stories to support. It's an assertion evidence model. Every assertion you make, there has to be an evidence. And educational, any additional course. Another thing I'll recommend for anyone who has a career shift from graduation to MBA. The most common, I will give an example, is engineers going into marketing, because that's the most common shift. Or they're going into finance or HR sometimes. Do some short-term course. Now Coursera and Udemy are there. NIFM is there. You can do finance courses from there, 1,500 per course from the stock exchange market. There are these courses you can do. You can do courses from Copilamba and all these institutes, private and government institutes. You go online, lots of these courses available. Short-term, 2-month, 3-month certification courses charge you. For example, marketing, there is a certified marketing professional course for just 300,000 rupees. Or Google does a marketing course for free. You can get that certificate for free. So just do these courses. This shows that you are genuinely interested and you're trying to go beyond your textbooks, and highlight them in your introduction. Right? Now, keep it not more than 2 to 3 minutes, unless and until they ask you for more. So have 3 to 5 achievements ready with you. You mentioned 2 or 3, and then have 1 or 2 ready in case the person says, what else? Right? And the achievements can come from academics, they can come from co-curricular, they can come from internship, they can come from projects, they can come from anywhere. Couple of don'ts. Don't talk about your family background until asked for. Right? Do not mention your percentages, it's written in the CV. Don't talk negative about any person, course, or place. I think I've already mentioned that. Don't blame your family for your graduation choice. Right? So these are a couple of things that you need to look at. So any questions here about the first question of tell me something about yourself? If you all agree with it, you can just give me a thumbs up or a hand raise. Just quick thumbs up in the camera, or just click on it on the participant list, so I'll know that it's clear. If there is any query, you can ask me.
Shashank this side.
Yes, Sushant.
I have one question.
Yeah.
So in my experience, I have a couple of internships which I was not able to complete. Like I get talk about it, if an interviewer asks, so I've worked in the fields,
Hmm.
was not able to complete it due to some familiar commitments and
Hmm.
of the endeavors. So should I talk about it and mention it in my CV?
If they're relevant to your job profile, you can convert them into projects. Don't call them internships. Create a small brief summary report and submit it to your faculty.
Got it, ma'am.
Right? Just put it as a project. You don't have to say it wasn't complete. Just say it is a project I did and the summary report was submitted to the faculty. That's as good as an internship. It's your experience that counts. As long as you can talk about the work, it's okay.
Right. Got it, ma'am. Thank you.
Any other question? Wonderful. Great. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to quickly go through some of the key other 4 questions. The first one is the most critical. Yourself, your strengths and why should we hire you is again, this question comes from the SWOT analysis. If you've done your SWOT analysis, it's very easy. The purpose is what makes you better than others? And do you understand the job profile we're offering? So your technical and soft skills. So your strengths and why should I hire you is exactly the same question. You need to highlight your technical and soft skills. So a couple of things, use FAB technique for this. We call it feature, whatever skill that you have. Why is that skill advantageous to you and what is the benefit that the company will derive from that skill, right? For example, if I'm talking about, let's say, okay, if I have my strength, if I'm claiming as an exposure to an international audience or being able to work in cross-cultural teams, the advantage to me is that I am ready for any kind of assignment anywhere, right? And my previous assignments have given me an exposure to handle people from multiple backgrounds, cultural, linguistic backgrounds. And the benefit to the company can be if you can relate it to the job profile, right? I can talk to the clients instantly and I can connect with teams at pan India or across the world. And I believe this will really benefit me in coordinating better, communicating better, learning faster, learning more. So you can just use this as a technique to highlight your strengths. Identify the skills from your resume that relate to the profile. So you will have a lot of strengths. You don't need to mention all. Just mention the ones that are relevant to that job profile. And that's why it's important to do that SWOT profile and CV thing before every interview so that you're able to see what matches and what needs to change in your resume. So a couple of skills that you should highlight is decision making, leadership, problem solving, teamwork, and all these skills. These are some of the very, very simple skills. Customer service, even for the people who are not going into customer interaction role, because dealing with internal customers is also customer service, right? You may not use that word though. What has been your biggest challenge in your life? Always give a positive answer. Don't crib about the challenge. Think about it. Think about this question in great depth. It's a very critical question when it comes through. Has to be something which shows your problem solving skills, decision making skills, time management skills, adaptability. Some key skills for that job have to be highlighted. So, what has been your biggest challenge in your life? So and all of us have gone through challenges. So you can take the help of your faculty, mentor, of your family to identify the key challenges and then create an entire script around it.
Excuse me,
This
ma'am.
is, yeah, please go ahead.
Just a question on the on this question. So
Yeah,
can we mention about our personal challenges as well?
absolutely. As long as you are comfortable sharing it.
Got it, ma'am.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah,
I have a question, may I?
yeah, sure.
If we have mentioned that abilities, we are adaptable to conditions, and we what matters in our life is experience and all.
Hmm.
That might also point towards that money is not a matter for us. But if they are trying to buy us on a very low scale, which is not up to the mark, or
Hmm.
they're trying, if the company is good but they're trying to buy us on a low scale, how to tackle that? Because we have already said that we experience matters to us more than material money or something, whatever it is.
So Sheena, this question will change whether you're on campus or off campus. If you're on campus placement, you will already know the package beforehand. So for on-campus placements, the moment you walk into the interview room, it is an understanding that you're okay with the package being offered. So this question will not come. For off campus, again, the moment you walk into an interview room and you have been told the package beforehand, it's a tacit understanding, you are okay with the package. But if you are not aware of the package and it's offered to you in the interview room, then you feel free to negotiate because you weren't aware of it. Then you feel free to negotiate.
Right, ma'am. Thank you.
Great. Any other question here? Okay, so what kind of changes you find? This is a very critical question because why MBA is what you are asked when you join MBA. What happened after MBA is what you will ask when you will apply for the jobs. So skills related to the profile, please stick to skills related to the profile. Because the more you will speak, the more material you will give them to ask you questions. So the more you are focused in your answers, the more focused questions will come to you. So again, identify the key skills that they require for that profile and highlight those, right? So you can take examples from your summer internship, your co-curricular activities in the MBA, even your subject knowledge, how you have developed a holistic understanding of business. That's something which is extremely important, right? So this is something which is extremely critical. Some of the IMs and ISBs of the world, when this question is asked to those people, the question they usually answer is, I wanted to do MBA because I wanted to understand how the business work as a whole. I didn't want to have a unidimensional understanding, which I had as an engineer, which I had as a BCom graduate. So that's the biggest takeaway that I have. But when you say holistic, the next question will be, what do you mean by holistic? So you should have a ready thing when you say holistic understanding of business. So I've understood how the banking works, how finance works, how this works. My role may not require me, but as I grow in the hierarchy, I may need to coordinate between different departments. I'll have a better understanding of strategizing. So these are the things you have to correlate to in the questions. Achilles heel, where do you see yourself 5 years down the line? If you say one thing, that also, it's a trap either ways. So the best thing to do is never over exaggerate, and no need to share your real dreams. So don't say that I want to be the fashion designer I want to be a fashion designer 5 years down the line, and you're applying for a marketing job. Please don't do that. Whatever your real goal is, keep it aside. Focus on the job related. So should be in true tune with the profile you've applied for. And just do a market research and survey. In 5 years, if you're applying for a financial analyst profile, you will be a senior analyst, at the max a team leader. You will not be a department head, right? So don't say a department head. Say I'm looking at being at least in 5 years, at least a good work-life balance, professionally in a good position, and looking forward to be in a team leader's position by then. But then do a little bit of survey and study exactly in that profile and 5 years down the line where people are actually. Right? And present a career plan that shows that the current profile falls in the long-term goals. And don't go for 10 years down the line goals. Nobody's interested. 3 to 5 years max. Don't go for 10 years down the line goals. They may then, because whatever you say, they will then further ask you more questions on that. And now comes the most critical question.
Ma'am?
Yeah.
Ma'am, will it give a negative impact if we say that I am a short-term kind of a goal kind of a
Don't say short term. You don't have to say everything. My goal in life is, if they ask you 5 years, then you say in 5 years down the line, I see myself at least as a team leader. But my goal in life is to grow in this particular industry or this particular domain and profile, and to start from where I am and gradually get into short term, long term. Right, Sheena, how much time do we have? It's already 4:16. Just wanted to know.
Yes, ma'am. It's until 4:30, so we'll have question answer session as well.
Another, sure,
I'll
sure.
reconfirm.
So why MBA is another very, sure. I'll wait for your response. Meanwhile, let me just address this. So why MBA is focus on the future goals or past experience. Don't go anything beyond that. Don't blame your family or your ex-boss. I'm repeating that. A lot of people end up doing that, right? Please don't do it. Don't blame graduation, college, economy, poor placements. You did MBA because in your internship in engineering, you realize that technical skills are good, but you need to understand market, you need to understand business if you want to grow forward in your career. And you thought 5 years down the line also, I'll have to do it. Might as well do it now. Right? So it gives you a jump, it gives you a career jump. So that's a very honest answer that you can give. If you have a work experience, then you can say, in my work experience in 1 or 2 years, I realized that while technically I was doing very good, but in order to get into a managerial role, I need a bigger understanding of the business. So I decided to get into an MBA. So these are very honest answers. Nobody's going to question them. But don't go on a rant. That's very important. Tell me about your work. So I think summer internship I've already discussed. Talk about the related work in experience, SIP profile. Talk about what was the biggest challenge that you overcame in your SIP. Talk about what were the key learnings and talk about the responsibilities that you handled. Just 3 things if you can mention, you are done with your summer internship. The biggest challenge, the key things that you learned, and what were the key responsibilities that you had. Or what was your project all about? In case it was not a responsibility-based project, what was the project all about? And towards the end, couple of questions, your hobbies, are you comfortable, your hobbies. So if you say my hobby is reading book, you should be able to quote at least 5 to 10 books names. Right? It's because a person, you say comfortable traveling, and I have had people who have said, okay, I enjoy traveling, and then where have you traveled? Well, I drive to Panipat, I drive to, let's say, the Delhi border to eat those parathas regularly. That's not driving. When you talk about driving, you talk about having been on the road for longer duration. Are you comfortable traveling? Again, it's a very similar question to Sheena's about package. You have to know whether this job requires traveling. So if you're sitting in that room, the understanding is you already are okay with traveling. It's just a formality question. You say you're confident, yes. So do this homework before you enter that room. Don't do this inside the room, right? So these are a couple of things. Your dream job has to be the one you have applied for, or should lead from the one you have applied for, right? Your dream job can't be marketing when you're applying for sales. Please don't say that, right? When you talk applying for a sales job, say that your dream job is being in sales as an industry. Discuss that. So guys, this is all that I had to share. I know I kind of rushed towards the end, but I tried to address most of the things alongside. So I think we can take, if it's 4:30, we're starting the next session, we can take another 2 to 3 minutes for queries. So any questions, please feel free to ask. Platform is all yours.
Ma'am, good evening. This side Lokesh, ma'am.
Hi, Lokesh.
Ma'am, I have a question. Like, I recently applied for a sales profiles in a company. So the interviewer asked me that, what are your dream profile you're looking for? So while being in a sales, I just answered that my long-term objective is to be in a marketing field. So is it the right answer? Like, could you please comment?
Well, if you got the job, it was the right answer. But usually it is not a right answer, because when a company is hiring you for sales, and you have to understand that you have to focus. See, okay, one thing, let me tell you. When you are sitting in the interview and somebody asks you this question, you are not signing a contract with them that you will only make a career in marketing, and you don't even know where your career will go starting from today, right? So when you are saying that, okay, I am looking for a career in sales going forward as well, and that's why I applied for this job, and something in your internship, something in your project, something in your specialization in college and MBA backs that claim up, that's a much substantial and stronger answer than saying marketing.
So ma'am,
I hope I've answered your question,
yeah,
Lokesh.
yes, ma'am. So ma'am, can we ask them like that? Like after like if we work with them for like 3 to 4 years, so do you offer a departmental switch to marketing from sales to marketing? Can you ask
Lokesh,
like
first you get into the job, and you can ask that question after 3 to 4 years. You don't need that answer right now. And I'm telling you why. The reason for that is in 3 to 4 years, you would have built a reputation in the company. You would have built a relationship with the people. Right now, they don't know you. And if this guy who's hiring for his own sales team thinks, yeah, this guy wants to go into marketing, I might as well take somebody who stays with me long term. So if you, in your mind, you want to get into a company because you like it and you feel that it will, getting into marketing, there is, and a lot of people do the switch internally, but nobody will promise you that on the interview platform. Nobody will promise you that. Nobody will say, yes, yes, you can. At the max, if they're nice people, they'll say, well, that all remains to be seen. Yes, we do allow interdepartmental. So there is no point of asking this question. See, if you want to get into marketing, then don't apply for sales. But marketing jobs are not there for freshers. They usually come for the experienced people. So you don't need to ask him, because 4 years down the line, you can even switch for a market. So this question is actually not relevant in this situation. So that's why I'll suggest that don't ask this question. It will not really help your cause, because he cannot promise you anything from that side. Any other questions here?
Sorry, ma'am, I'll have to intrude. The timings were until 4:15. So
Okay.
if we can wind up.
Yeah, sure. We are done and we are just taking questions. So it's up to you, Sheena. Now the floor is yours, as long as you allow us to talk.
Sure, ma'am. We can take one last question if you want. I mean, if it is feasible for you.
Sure. If anyone has a question, we can.
Yes, ma'am, I have a question.
Yeah. Please go
Ma'am,
ahead.
yeah, if the interviewer asks us about what all different companies have we applied in apart from this job, so like, should we be honest about it? Like, if the job profile is contrasting to the one that we have applied, should we like, how should we tackle this question?
Okay. First question I have from you. What is your name? I can't see your
Garima.
name on the screen. So, okay. So, Garima, what I understand, DSB has a dual specialization, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Correct, right. So you will be applying for specializations, right? So please, when someone asks you, have you applied for some other jobs? Don't say you are the only one I'm counting on. Of course, you've applied for other jobs, right? But don't talk about the jobs which are contradicting to this profile, because then that shows that you don't have a clarity in mind. You're simply looking for whosoever picks you up. So if my specialization is finance and marketing, and if I'm sitting for a finance interview and the guy asks me, have you applied for other jobs as well? Then I'll only quote the finance jobs. I'll not say not applied. I'll say, yes, I've applied, but I'll not quote marketing jobs. Similarly, in the marketing interview, I'll not quote finance jobs.
Okay, ma'am.
Right? Yep.
So thank you everyone for the questions, and I would really extend a warm thank you to you, ma'am, for such a great session. I would like to present a memento on behalf of Delhi School of Business to you. May I please request the IT team? So this is for you, ma'am, for
Thank
such
you
a
so
meaningful
much.
session. I would
Thank
like
you.
to also extend a big thank you to our director, our chairperson, and everybody involved in conducting this session. So we were glad we could meet you. And on behalf of all the students and the faculty members, a very, very thank you to you. Thank you.
Thank you. It was wonderful meeting all of you, and I hope I've been able to help you out in your career designing process, and wish you guys all the very best.
Thank you
Thank
so
you very
much.
much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much, ma'am. Thank you once
Thank you,
again.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome. Thank you.